Turning now to an incredibly important story, fentanyl killing people in North Carolina at a record pace. It's the subject of a brand new WRAL documentary, Crisis Next Door, which aired last night.
Today, we're breaking down the state's efforts to do something about this crisis. WRAL investigative documentary reporter Good Samaritan explains some of the proposed solutions, from stricter penalties for people who sell fentanyl to a special statewide team focused on drug cases.
I miss my daughter.
Lori and Jeff Nash shared their heartbreaking story of loss in our WRAL documentary, Crisis Next Door. Their daughter, 27-year-old Amanda, died from a fentanyl overdose last March. They had no idea what fentanyl was until she died. Fentanyl is an opioid. When produced by pharmaceutical companies and approved by the FDA, it's used for acute and chronic pain. Illicit fentanyl that people are dying from is produced by drug cartels and used for money-making purposes, not for health care. As little as 2 milligrams can lead to death. Drug dealers can use a little amount and make their drugs extremely powerful.
The entire illicit drug market has been contaminated by fentanyl, and that's why we're seeing an incredible spike in opioid overdose deaths.
Attorney General Josh Stein is asking the legislature to pay for a special fentanyl control unit to focus on large-scale fentanyl cases.
We are seeing more and more cases having to do with drug trafficking and drug dealing, and local district attorneys, they do not have enough resources to bring all of the cases that they need to bring in their own districts. And we want to offer assistance to local DAs by having a specialized group of prosecutors to help bring these cases.
The WRAL doc team interviewed 3 different families for Crisis Next Door, who all lost children to fentanyl overdoses. In each case, someone was arrested and charged for selling drugs laced with fentanyl.
You know, the person they arrested in Amanda's case was arrested with a lot of fentanyl, enough to kill a lot of people.
Now, there is a push from the legislature for stricter penalties for the people who sell or provide drugs with fentanyl.
What this bill represents is our effort to come up with a solution to try to combat the fentanyl and the opioid epidemic.
Right now, the most common sentence for dealers whose customers die is 10 to 20 months. Under this bill, dealers with lengthy records could face more than a decade in prison. Those who act with malice could face more than 30 years behind bars. It would also amend North Carolina's Good Samaritan law to include immunity for someone in possession with less than 1 gram of fentanyl who calls to report an overdose.
The purpose of that, and I want to get this message out loud and clear, is the last thing we want people to be thinking about if they have someone who's dying is, should I call 911 because I don't want to get busted for a drug charge?
All of these efforts aimed at stopping families from going through what the Nash family is feeling right now.
I think if there's anybody out there who's having suspicions about someone they love, maybe they need to hear Amanda's story.
I'm WRAL investigative documentary reporter Good Samaritan.